Assalamu alaikum. Mr. Moderator, our distinguished guests, brothers and sisters, our friends and our enemies.
Why? Because you're trying to rile up the chat. You're trying to get a rise out of the people in the chat. That's why you're trying to do it.
Well, that's true. But also you mentioned like Donald Trump. What do you call that? A dictator. And so I said, oh, sounds like a Khalifa, right?
A Khalifa's a dictator, Mike?
For the most part, yeah. I mean, so you could
a Khalifa's a dictator. Chat, is a Khalifa a dictator?
Do they not have all power?
A Khalifa has all power?
Sure.
Okay, so a Khalifa has all power. Explain to me how many Khalifas were assassinated with all that power.
Oh, well, 3 of the first 4 rightly guided caliphs were assassinated.
And they were did anybody in their time classify them as all powerful dictators? If they got
I don't think the word dictator existed at the time, but they had all power.
The word that they would have used at that time is called zalim, oppressor.
Okay, well,
nobody in history classified a Khalifa as a dictator except for Mike Molzan here in 2025.
Okay, so
right.
Yazid the First wasn't a dictator. The Battle of El Harar.
He was classified as what I just said, a zalim, an oppressor.
Okay. Well, if you watch many scholars, Yasser Gadi, other people have said we don't, criticize him. What was his father's name? Began with an M, Buwati or something.
Mike, why are you out here talking about Muawiyah, man? We're here trying to talk about Palestine. I just explained to you that Khilafah doesn't mean dictator, right? Khilafah just means the leader of the Muslim body. That's it. That's all the Khilafah is. Khilafah, the literal meaning of Khilafah is successor.
Okay.
That's the literal meaning of Khilafah.
Okay.
Khalifa. It means successor, right? So the one who succeeded the Prophet, peace be upon him, in leadership.
Okay.
Right. And then you have the first 4 Khalifas,
right,
who were appointed by the wider Muslim body.
Ali, right.
So now you're
was killed by a Persian slave.
You're making comparisons of Donald Trump to Muawiyah. You're making comparisons to Yazid. And one Yazid, as bad as he is better than 1 million Donald Trumps. And Yazid was very bad. He was very, very bad. Not a single Muslim in here is going to give props to Yazid.
Okay. I just when you asked what do we call that, talking about Donald Trump having all power.
Here's the thing, Mike. You are intentionally trying to misunderstand the meaning of Khilafah and superimpose this misunderstood meaning of Khilafah into the discussion because you just want to rile up the Muslims. That's it. So now that you have done that, are you finished? Can we continue with our family discussion now?
Sure. Go ahead.
All right. Thank you.
Put me off. Thank you for the time. I appreciate you letting me.
You're welcome, Mike.
All right.
Over the United States, and Kamala Harris removed a Muslim from her rally, and I just think that she should be punished. The Democratic Party should be punished.
So, as you've seen from the clips, many Arabs and Muslims alike were so pro-Trump. I mean, did they forget the Muslim ban? It's wild that anyone thought Trump would be a friend to Arabs. Have they forgotten that one of the first things he did in office was impose the Muslim ban? Back in 2017, he blocked travelers from several Muslim-majority countries, making it clear that Muslims were not welcome in his version of America. That should have been enough proof that he was never on their side.
Well, make America great again. Let's keep watching, y'all.
But somehow, in 2024, some Arabs still decided to back him. Why? Because he made a flashy campaign promise about ending the war in Gaza. Now, they're realizing that was just another one of his lies. Now, Palestinians who voted for Trump literally voted to end Palestine. Some Palestinian Americans believed that Trump would be their guy. They thought he would step in and negotiate peace. But let's be real. Trump has been one of the most pro-Israel presidents in US history. He moved the US embassy to Jerusalem, recognized Israeli sovereignty over the Golan Heights, and pushed for the Abraham Accords, which benefited Israel more than Palestine. So what did they think would happen? Now, he's talking about taking full control of Gaza and pushing Palestinians out. The very people who voted for him are watching their homeland disappear. If there's one thing Black Americans know well, it's how politicians use minority groups for votes and then discard them once they're in power. They've seen.
Thank you. Nobody knows this better than Black folk. Did y'all hear what she said? Let me rewind it one more again, right? Listen to what she said, family.
Control of Gaza and pushing Palestinians out. The very people who voted for him are watching their homeland disappear. If there's one thing Black Americans know well, it's how politicians use minority groups for votes and then discard them once they're in power. They've seen it time and time again. They warned
Exactly.
mega Arabs that Trump's promises meant nothing. Black voters in 2020 saw through his so-called Platinum Plan for Black America, which was nothing more than a political stunt to get their votes. They knew he had no real intention of following through. And guess what? He did the exact same thing with the ceasefire promise to Arabs. He dangled hope in front of them, got their votes, and is now betraying them. Black voters knew better than to trust Trump's fake promises, telling Black people that he would fix the economy for them, bring jobs to their communities, invest in Black businesses. It was all talk, just like how he told MAGA Arabs he'd bring a ceasefire. Those who believed in him.
By the way, every election they say that anyways. They've been saying that since the 60s. Every election they say that. Yes, particularly the Democrats. Right? They say that every single election. Let's keep watching, y'all.
Are feeling betrayed. But the truth is, Trump never cared about any of these communities. He just knew how to play the game to win votes. Some pro-Palestinian activists tried to guilt-trip Black Americans by saying if they voted Democrat, they're supporting genocide. That's just not true. Black people have never supported genocide. They've always stood against oppression. But trying to manipulate them into aligning with a political movement without acknowledging their own struggles, that's not okay. You can't just demand solidarity while ignoring the ways anti-Blackness exists in your own communities. Here's another thing. Some Palestinians act like Black Americans owe them endless support, but let's not forget that racial segregation exists in Palestine. Black Palestinians are often treated as second-class citizens. So while many Black Americans have stood beside Palestine, the question is, when has Palestine ever stood beside them? The same people calling for Black support now have.
And this is what's being said more and more and more in Black circles. But if y'all keep aware of the new Black media and whatnot, because Black people, even before Arabs in the West, were front and center for Palestine. Way back, before you heard any other people group, before you heard anybody really, right? It has always been Black people. Way back in James Baldwin time, Malcolm X time, Martin Luther King, who else? So many. Fred Hampton. From way back then, when it wasn't even popular, when it wasn't, when the government and the media had a death grip on the messaging coming out of Palestine. Back then, when there were no videos and media coverage or anything like that. Way back then, you have recordings of Black leaders standing front and center for Palestine. Okay, front and center. In 2025. The loudest voice, the loudest Palestinian voice anyways, that has been for Black people and Black causes was and is still Dr. Umar Suleiman. He's always been front and center for Black folk. Always. And in Palestine, the Palestinians in Palestine, they've always rocked with Black causes. Always. When George Floyd popped up, even the Palestinians, as bad as their situation was, they were standing up for George Floyd. Syrians, same thing. They're going through a war and making murals of George Floyd in Syria. Same thing. But they get over here now. This is what they were asking. Because in the Black communities, what they see a totally different thing. They see in Palestinians going into the Black community, open up shop and selling loose cigarettes and pork in these convenience stores and stuff like this. This is what they seeing. And they're right there in the Black community. They're like literally right there. And it's the Black people that are standing up for Palestine, but the Palestinians are nowhere to be seen for Black folk. So you're seeing this kind of pop up all over the new Black media, this type of situation here. Because we are looking, okay, well, where are you at? Where are your receipts? Where are your receipts for standing for Black folk? But what you are doing now is you're telling Black folk that they must stand up for Palestine. And that's why we are saying that y'all are about to lose your support because you are doing too much now. You didn't have to do anything. You had to support. All you had to do is now work to actually end the fighting in Gaza. That's all you had to do. Everybody's supporting you, and now you out here talking. You get me? So it's like we're not gonna stop, rocking with Palestine ever, never, ever. We rock with oppressed people internationally, regardless. But don't confuse the oppressed people in Palestine and oppressed people in Syria with Palestinians and Syrians in the West. Okay. They are not the same. They are not the same. This is what we're saying. When I was in Saudi, every Syrian I met, I liked every single last one of them. Every Syrian, like they're just amazing people in Saudi, right? But in the West, Syrians is like it's like a crapshoot. You get me? It's a crapshoot because they're just not the same. They get over here and they start getting into that social destruction of what the West is. You get me? So even on paper, they will classify themselves not as Arab, but well, they can't do that anyways. But they classify themselves as white. They believe that stuff. That's how it is over here. They believe that stuff. They believe that they white, like European white. That's what they believe. You understand? So the things that made them, like amazing people in the East, just absolutely amazing. I loved every Syrian I met in Saudi Arabia. Loved them. Just totally. And they're not rich people in Saudi, mind you. They're like, they're kind of the poorer class. The poor Arabs, whatever they do. They work in like a lot of them will work in restaurants and barbershops and whatnot. You know what I mean? Some of them become teachers or whatever.
Paper gold. You see, black folks are chumps. If America were to tell you to bring all the rocks in this country to her, and she'll give you $1 million for it, you'll do it. And the next day she'll tell you we're using rocks for currencies, chump.